What is going on, everybody? What is going on? It is Friday, August the 4th, 2023. It is the first Friday of the month, and it's the first live stream of the month. If you have not done so already, make sure you go ahead and hit that like button, hit that share button. If you are new to the channel, welcome. And also be sure to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell twice to be notified whenever I go live or upload a new video. So let's see, who do we have in here so far? We got Detroit Kings, Hack Sign KT, Terrence Jackson, Mark Stewart, Rachel, Chance, Iron Will, Shamika, Auntie, aka Sean from the Shy, Cool Spider, DSB, Denise, Donna, PD Chicago, Iron Will, Key, Prince, Lady Messenger, Spidey, Afro Elite. And again, also speaking of Afro, congrats on reaching 7,000 subscribers plus on your channel recently. And we got David O, DJ, Concerned Black Citizen, Samara, Allison, Queen of Spades, Dewani, Yoon. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. And shout out to Haxon KT for kicking off the super chats of the day. $5 super chat. He said B1TRR, B1 to you and to everyone in the chat. Buzzercam H1, Daddy is Jones. DSB, shout out to you for the $10 super chat. He said, let's get it. Travis. And that is all the people that I see in here so far. Okay, I see someone else. Lamiko, welcome. And shout out to you. But yeah, how's everybody doing today? How was everybody's week? I just realized today is the 4th. And on this very day, back in 2007, was the beginning of my collegiate career. Yep, on August 4th, 2007 was the beginning of my undergrad at the school that I went to. It's crazy to think how fast time actually flies. It wasn't on a Friday when I went down. I forgot what day it was, though. Was it a Friday? I can't remember. But I do know that it was on the 4th. I do know that. But yes, we have a lot of topics to discuss today, more topics than I usually like to cover when I do these weekly streams, because I like to try to keep it at 5. But this is a combination of stuff that has gone on this week that I couldn't speak about in a pre-recorded video, and also stuff that came out probably within the last week or so that I wasn't able to talk on, because as y'all know, last Friday I didn't do a live stream. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have that many topics. But the reason for that is because I was doing so many live streams last week. I was doing so many live streams last week outside of my own. So I was live streamed out and decided, you know what, I'm going to take a break this Friday. But other than that, I hope everybody had a good day. I hope everybody had a good week. Put in the chat, though, what topic are y'all really looking forward to hearing me talk about? Now, I know y'all can't. Now, I couldn't fit all of them up there in the title because it's so many. But based on like what you see, what topic are y'all looking forward to me? Put it down in the chat. I want to see what the enthusiasm level, even though I think I have a good idea which one y'all gonna pick. But I'm just curious. That's why I wish the YouTube polls could go beyond 4. Spidey, you said all of them. I'm gonna be honest, I hate when y'all do that, because it's like, okay, you say all of them. That's so vague. Iron Will had to come back and follow up and say everything. Finally, we had PD Chicago B1 says he's looking forward to me talk about Henrietta Lacks. Concerned Black Citizen said that they're looking forward to me talking about Lizzo. Chance said Lizzo. Donna said Lizzo. Honestly, how did I know that was going to be the one that people was going to look forward to me talking about the most? Well, I hope y'all stick around, because that's not actually going to be the first topic I cover. That's probably in the middle of all the topics I have. So y'all going to be sticking around for a little bit if y'all want to see me in real time what I got to say about that situation. All right, y'all. It is officially 6:10. Y'all know what that means. It is time to get the show started. And we are going to start it off. I actually have 4 updates that I have to give. Y'all know I like to start it off with the updates. I got like 4 of them. I think 4 or 5. It's a lot of them. But the first update we have is Jonathan Majors. So, in case y'all are unaware, the most recent thing to come out involving Jonathan Majors is that his trial was set to begin, I believe, sometime this week. But unfortunately, it ended up getting postponed until September. Now, I don't know what the reasoning is to why that is. Hopefully, this article will spell out for us why that is. But I find it also very interesting that they dropped the trailer for season 2 of Loki, which he's going to be a part of, and that airs on Disney Plus on October 6th. And how ironic they postponed this trial until September. That may not be the reasoning, but that's just something that just kind of screamed fishy to me. Well, let's see what they're talking about here. Actor Jonathan Majors' domestic violence trial was postponed until at least September 6th, after New York City prosecutors asked Thursday for more time to prepare. Majors, age 33, appeared in court for what was to have been the start of his trial on charges stemming from a March confrontation with a woman who says he twisted her arm behind her back, struck her on the head, and pushed her into a vehicle. The woman was treated at a hospital for minor neck and head injuries, including a cut to her ear. Majors is charged with misdemeanors, including assault, and could be sentenced to as much a year in jail if convicted. The judge set a new tentative trial date of September 6th after prosecutors from the Manhattan District's Attorney Office requested more time for discovery. Majors walked out of the courtroom after the hearing, acknowledging some seated in the gallery. At one point, he bumped his hand to his heart to a woman seated near the door. His attorney, Priya Chaudhry, said in an email that Majors was unjustly arrested and that it was he who suffered at the hands of his accuser. She said Majors was the real victim in this shameful ordeal, adding that he has had his life, career, and reputation torn apart, yet he remains unwavering in his determination to be absolved from this harrowing ordeal. Major has starred in the movies Creed 3 and Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, among other features. We look forward to presenting the full facts and evidence at trial, said Doug Cohen, a spokesperson for the Manhattan District's Attorney Office. So there it is right there. Now that's pretty much that's all they're saying. We got a date. They said they're delaying it until September 6th. So that's pretty much like a month from, I guess, when it was supposed to officially start. Because they said they're trying to, quote unquote, gather more evidence. I keep telling y'all, I don't think that the opposite side has a case. That's really what I'm thinking. That's really what I'm getting from this. What do y'all think? Why do you think they postponed the trial like a whole month later to a whole month later? Because I'm curious. For some reason, I cannot see the comments. Scrolling. I don't know why it's doing that. It did that last week. I don't know what that's all about. But anyway, I'm gonna keep it moving, and hopefully the comments pop back up, because I don't know why I cannot see the chat moving. It's literally stuck at the same comment that's been at for like the last 2 minutes. And I know y'all are probably responding to this, but I cannot, for some reason, the chat wasn't moving. Now the comments finally popped up. DSB said YouTube is hating. Spidey said they don't have a case. Terrence says they are fishing for something to pin on him. We shall see, and I guess we will have to revisit this in September. But let's move on to the next update, and that is involving Michael K. Williams. Now, the unfortunate passing and shocking death of actor Michael K. Williams hit everybody like a bag of bricks back in, I think, 2021, when they found out that he had passed away from a drug overdose. Well, fast forward to 2023, the dealer who was responsible for giving Michael K. Williams those drugs that led to his overdose and untimely death has been sentenced to 2.5 years in prison. One, I'm not shocked on two counts. One, that the person actually got time, and two, that they only got this little bit of time. Because one thing that they said is that if you deal someone drugs and they overdose and die from said overdose, you will be doing jail time. It's just unfortunate that this happened. You just never know what people are going through, because he was a really great actor. It says a 71-year-old man linked to a crew of drug dealers blamed in the fentanyl-laced heroin death of The Wire actor Michael K. Williams was sentenced July 25, 2023 to more than 2 years in prison at a proceeding in which the actor's nephew recommended compassion for the defendant. Carlos Machi was sentenced to 2.5 years in prison by U.S. District Judge Ronnie Abrams, who told Machi that selling heroin and fentanyl not only cost Mr. Williams his life, but it's costing your freedom, in part because he did not stop selling drugs after Williams died. Machi had pleaded guilty to conspiring to possess and distribute narcotics. The judge noted that more than 3,000 fatal overdoses occurred in New York City last year, killing many who never understood the threat they faced from lethal doses of drugs whose components were unclear. Williams, who also starred in films and other TV series, including Boardwalk Empire, overdosed in his Brooklyn, New York penthouse apartment in September 2021. He was 54. Machi benefited from words spoken on his behalf by Williams' nephew in a sentencing letter submitted weeks ago, in which David Simon, a co-creator of HBO's The Wire, urged leniency, saying Williams himself would fight for Mr. Machi. That's a very interesting take, David Simon. How do you know he would actually fight for him? This guy's he's responsible for his overdose. And some also saying, like, listen to this. It says that he benefited from the words spoken, which means David Simon, the co-creator of The Wire, by him saying those words, that actually got the person who caused his overdose to get a lesser sentence. Which says to me he was supposed to get a more lengthier sentence. It says Machi was not charged directly in the actor's death, although others in the case have been. Still, he could have faced nearly 20 years in prison if the judge had not agreed to depart downward from federal sentencing guidelines that call for double-digit years in prison. Assistant U.S. Attorney Micah F. Ferguson had urged a sentence of at least 4 years, saying Machi had more than 20 previous convictions and had not spent much time behind bars, despite 4 drug-related convictions since 2016. Defense attorney Benjamin Zeman said he was a huge fan of The Wire and considered Williams a tragic victim in this case, but he said his client was a victim too of the drug crisis, causing him to do things to sustain his own drug habit. Dominic DuPont, Williams' nephew, told the judge that he believed Machi can turn his life around. It weighs heavy on me to see someone be in a situation he's in, DuPont said. I understand what it is to be system impacted. In his letter, Simon said he met with Williams in 2002 when he cast him on The Wire as Omar Little, a Baltimore man known for robbing street-level drug dealers. Simon also described how Williams, during the show's 3rd season, quietly acknowledged to a line producer about his struggles with addiction and allowed a crew member to provide constant companionship to help him resist the temptation to do drugs. We watched relieved and delighted as Michael Williams restored himself, but Simon, who covered the drug war as a police reporter at the Baltimore Sun from 83 to 95, said Williams confided that an impulse toward addiction would be a constant in his life. I miss my friend, he wrote, but I know that Michael would look upon the undone and desolate life of Mr. Machi and know 2 things with certainty. First, that it was Michael who bears the full responsibility for what happened. And second, no possible good can come from incarcerating a 71-year-old soul, largely illiterate, who has himself struggled with a lifetime of addiction. I guess. So what do y'all think about that before I move on to the next story? It seems like there's a lot of leniency and a lot of forgiveness going on here for the person that's responsible for this man's death. I'm just saying. Key Prince said that he should have gotten more time. And that's the thing. The judge was willing to give him more time, but because of what David Simon, the co-creator of The Wire, said, that's what made them end up reducing the sentence, because they said they was looking for double-digit years, considering this man has had decades worth of drug dealing and he's been convicted 4 times for what he's done. It's just that this one ended up in a death. So and he's 71. So guess what's going to end up happening? When he gets out in 2.5 years, he gonna go right back out to doing what he was doing, like he never left. You see, I wonder what race his dealer was. Well, this man's name is Carlos Machi. I'll let you figure that out. Carlos Machi. Last name is spelled Macci. So that should pretty much tell you what the race of his dealer was. All right. So with that being said, let's move on to the next story. And this one too is another update, and it involves Ray Lewis's son. If y'all remember, I talked about Ray Lewis III in a live stream a couple months ago when it had got revealed that he passed away. And then I'm sitting there thinking to myself, how did he pass away? And then when they said what they found around him, I said, yeah, he most likely passed of an overdose. And sure enough, the autopsy came out last week, and it said that he died from a lethal mix of drugs. So he basically had a drug cocktail flowing through his system. He was basically, and repeat the words lethal, which means just taking one of those drugs was lethal. But imagine combining multiple lethal drugs into one sitting. Like that's a recipe for disaster. So let's see what they're talking about here. It says Ray Lewis III, the son of NFL legend Ray Lewis, died from a lethal mix of drugs, according to an autopsy report obtained by TMZ Sports. In the medical examiner's documents, officials say fentanyl, cocaine, and methamphetamine intoxication was what led to the former football player's son passing. They ruled the manner of death as accidental. According to the toxicology report, Lewis III additionally had alcohol and alprazolam. I probably mispronounced that word. I'm sure someone can correct me in the comments. The drug found in brands like Xanax in his system at the time of his death. It says, we broke the story. Cops say after responding to a call for a medical emergency at a residence in Florida back on June 14th, they discovered an unresponsive Lewis III. They said at the time a friend had been screaming for Narcan, a drug used for overdoses, and when they eventually administered it in his right nostril, there was no response. Lewis III was later pronounced deceased. He was just 28 years old. That's crazy. For someone to be doing like them hardcore drugs and then take a mixture of it, they had a lot going on in their life. Shout out to Jay Cage for the $20 super chat. He says, B1 Atorian and the fam, I'm late, but I'm here. Well, I'm glad that you are here. We are still in the very beginnings. We only on like the third story, I believe, of several. So you made it just in time. I'm actually just doing the update portions of the stream of stories that I've talked about, but I'm giving updates. But yeah, that's crazy. But definitely RIP to this man, and hopefully wherever he is, he is getting the proper rest that he felt that he needs. Because anyone who does something like this, they had a lot going on. They had to have. You don't just wake up one morning and say, you know what? I'm going to take all these lethal drugs. And that's it. Something probably was definitely going on in his life, but we'll never know at this point. All right, let's move on to the next story, the next update. And this is following the incident involving the Squeegee boy in Baltimore. If y'all remember, I talked about this last year, and the verdict came out involving this teenager where they said that he got convicted on voluntary manslaughter. But there is a video that goes along with this, so we're going to let the video play out.
Do you consider this verdict a victory for your side?
Listen, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Reaction from defense attorney Warren Brown on Thursday after a jury found his 16-year-old client, Tavon Scott, guilty of voluntary manslaughter and 2 related firearms charges in the fatal shooting of 48-year-old Timothy Reynolds last July at the corner of Light and East Conway downtown.
We're not as happy as we would have been if he had not been found guilty of the voluntary manslaughter. We're elated that he was not found guilty of murder 1 or murder 2.
Loved ones of the victim visibly emotional as they exited the courthouse. Family members standing together as their attorney spoke on their behalf.
The person who was responsible for his murder has been convicted of killing him. And that brings a small measure of closure and justice to this family, which is what they've always wanted.
Reynolds was shot and killed after confronting a group of Squeegee workers with a bat. The state argued premeditation, asked jurors to return a first-degree murder conviction.
We believe the facts supported first-degree or second-degree murder, but you got to respect the process. You got to respect the fact that the jury has reached a consensus that this is the man that killed him, and he's going to be held accountable for that.
Tavon Scott was 14 at the time of the incident. His lawyers focused on his age during the trial and claimed he wasn't the shooter, but whoever was the shooter did it in self-defense. Scott's attorney says there is definitely going to be an appeal. Scott's family said this through a spokesperson.
This is clearly a heart-wrenching case on both sides, and our condolences go out to the Reynolds family. There's tension and tears in the courtroom leading up to the verdict. But the family is thankful for the jury's very close review.
It was grim, a somber day in that courtroom on all sides, including the courtroom staff and the judge even. Nobody looked very happy. It was tough in this verdict as it was delivered. The defense requested a delay in sentencing, and Warren Brown told us that is when that happens in a month or two, he plans to push for the sentencing of Scott to be moved to juvenile court. Reporting live tonight, I'm Kate Amara, WBAL TV 11 News.
All right, before I get into what I have to say, shout out to DSB for the $1.99 super sticker. I definitely appreciate it. So, yeah, that's the update right there. So, I saw a comment on here. I think it was Iron Will said that was not a win. You know what? I see why the attorney said that, and I also see why you said that. I see why you said that because, again, at the end of the day, this was or should have been looked at as self-defense, because that's how I saw it. That's how many people who were aware of this story definitely saw it. But I also see why the attorney said that, because remember, they were trying to get this teenager on murder 1. They were trying to get him on first-degree murder, which I knew was not going to work, because I remember when I went over this story last year and that came up, I said, I said it then. I said, they're not going to get him on murder 1 because this kid did not premeditate to kill this man, because he's the one that came up to them with a bat, not the other way around. So when I said they jumped, they reached with that murder 1. So I knew they wasn't going to get him on that. I don't know why they even attempted that, but I guess that was their way of saying that we're going to try to really, really go after him, but it didn't work. So they got manslaughter, which was the lowest charge he could get. But at least it says that they're going to appeal it. And I think they probably have a strong chance with that. Mike C said the dude had a bat. Oh yeah, we know that. We know that. Like, if you go back and look at my videos when I talked about this, I definitely went through all of that. This dude had a whole bat and was chasing after them kids. And that one that he was about to hit, because they said he swung the bat too, like as if he was prepared to hit him. So what was you supposed to do? Just get hit? Chan says, so what happened? The white dude walked up to him with a bat and the kid shot him. Yeah, he walked up to him with a bat and swung at him. Now, for those of y'all who are unaware how Baltimore is, they literally have these kids out there, like these boys out there, like could be in the summertime, called Squeegee boys. They go up and they ask people, do they want their windows washed? Sometimes they'll just straight up do it. And this guy apparently didn't want it, and they did it anyway to his vehicle, because they can be aggressive because they're trying to get paid. He got out of his car and literally chased after them with a bat and began to swing it. And one of the boys had a power tool on him, and he shot him and killed him right there in the street. That's basically the summary of a much longer story. So we'll see what happens with that appeal. Hopefully they actually get it, but we'll see. All right, so we are going to move on to the next story, which is another this is we're pretty much out of the update portion of the show, and now we're actually getting into the more stories that have all come out within the last week or so. So the first one I want to talk about is the actor Angus Cloud. Now, for those of y'all who don't watch the show or have heard of the show, y'all may have heard of it if you don't watch it, but I'll be honest, I actually watched the show Euphoria. I actually enjoy this show, to be quite honest. He was an actor mainly known on this show Euphoria that comes on HBO, where Zendaya is the lead actress on the show. Well, anyway, he recently passed away at the age of 25 from a drug overdose. And shout out to DSB for the $10 super chat. He said, power tools always carry your steel. Exactly what has Professor Black Truth always told us? Whenever he throws the ad in there, always carry your steel, power tools. But yeah, he passed away at the age of 25 from a drug overdose. And when I heard about this, I wasn't surprised. But when I learned even more as to why he did it, then it became even more shocking. Because in case y'all are unaware, his father had just passed the week before. His father had just passed the week before, and then he passes a week later from a drug overdose. And from what I've always heard when it comes to him dabbling with substance abuse is not uncommon, or it wasn't new. And it's crazy because when you think about the show Euphoria, if you watch it, it's crazy how things kind of line up with each other. It's almost like art imitating life. Iron Will say he looks like Mac Miller. He does. When I first saw him on the show, I thought it was Mac Miller on the show until I found out otherwise. But he was definitely his doppelganger. If they ever had a chance to do a movie together, which unfortunately that'll never happen, they could have played brothers. That would have been perfect casting. DJ says, so the dad committed suicide? No, I don't know what his dad passed away from. I don't know what his dad died from. But anyway, they said that he did pass away the previous week, and then he OD'd a week later. And I couldn't even imagine how hard that has to be on family. You just buried one loved one, and then you got to turn right back around and bury another one. Chan said, other than super chats, how do we donate to your channel? You can donate to the Cash app. I'll type it in for you. But yeah, it's a very sad thing. Because actually, he was a fan favorite on the show. A lot of people really liked his character. And it's crazy too, because when you saw him, like when I saw him in interviews that he would do, it's almost like how his character was on the show was how he was in real life. But it's kind of crazy now that knowing going into the third season, whenever the third season comes out, that he won't be there because they haven't filmed anything yet. And I think the third season is supposed to come out next year. Well, maybe because this strike is going on, so nobody's filming anything right now. But definitely RIP to this man. And the next one I'm going to talk about, I was kind of like, I don't know if I should or if I shouldn't talk about this, but since it was in the news and I am aware of who this person is, I said, let's talk about it. Paul Reubens, aka Pee Wee Herman, also passed away at the age of 70. And ironically, Paul Reubens and Angus Cloud both died the same day. I think Pee Wee Herman, Paul Reubens passed first, and then it came no, actually, I take that back. I think Angus Cloud died the day before, but they didn't announce it until that day. But then Paul Reubens died the next day. So it was back to back. But yeah, Paul Reubens, aka Pee Wee Herman, died at the age of 70. His fame definitely predates my birth, but I do remember watching the two movies that he did, which was it was Pee-wee's Big Adventure and Pee-wee Under the Big Top. I personally liked the Big Adventure movie more, but as many people know, Paul Reubens had a very checkered past. That's all I'll say about that. He had a very shady past. One story I remember was, and I think this is one a lot of people know about, happened in the early 90s, where he was inside of an adult theater and he got caught, pleasuring himself by that cop, and he had got arrested. But in the course, years later, it had got discovered that he had possession of CP. But yeah. Key Prince says Pee Wee Herman had cancer for 6 years and he never told. Right. So that's what he died from, was cancer. I'm not going to say what it is on here because, I know how YouTube can get, but possession of CP. I don't even want y'all to type it in the chat. Capuchon, he said he also played the Penguin's father in the second band. He did. I forgot. He definitely did. It was only a little small part because it was at the beginning. Indigenous Queen Chance basically put the politically correct version in the chat for you, what I'm talking about. Just replace the word assault with that other word and you'll get it. Yes, DJ, he did. He did. This and that came out, I think, back in like the early 2000s. But see, what protected him is because he wasn't really out there like that. His popularity and his fame had already dwindled, so no one really cared or really knew. And then it was at a time when social media was not a thing. So if this was to happen today and it came out today and he was still alive, then you would have heard about it. But yeah. Yep, that part two, Key Prince, he was also a member of the Academy as well. That came out recently too. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the next story. Now we about to get into the meat and potatoes of this. I already got through all the somber stuff, so we about to go ahead and get into the nitty gritty, so to speak. Let me go ahead and enlarge this so y'all can see this. And this is only a 45-minute clip, so it's a very short news clip.
A 6-year-old girl from New Jersey is dead, and her school bus monitor is charged with her death. The Somerset County prosecutor says 27-year-old Amanda Davila is under arrest. She secured a Fahar Williams wheelchair on the bus as they headed for extended school. But an investigation revealed that bumps on the road caused the girl to slump in her wheelchair, making the harness cut off her air supply. Prosecutors say Davila was using a cell phone instead of watching the girl and wearing earbuds in both ears, so missed it all. William's father is fuming.
I'm picturing her fighting. She can't speak. She can't defend herself. She cannot take the thing off her neck.
Davila is now charged with manslaughter.
That is insane. And shout out to Val Williams for the $5 super chat. This chick right here on your screen is pure negligence. Pure negligence. First off, RIP to that little girl and condolences to her family. And shout out to NT. I don't want to say your full name on here, but you know who you are. Initials are NT for the $10 Cash App. I definitely appreciate it. Pure negligence. This woman was driving a bus with her earbuds in. Not properly strapped in. Oh, she just didn't care. Oh, they're going to have fun passing her around it wherever she's going. Look, it says a series of bumps in the road caused the 6-year-old to slump in her wheelchair, making the 4-point harness which secured her to the chair to become tight around her neck. That sounds like something straight out of Final Destination. On her cell phone and wearing earbuds in both ears. And that's the sad part too. The child was nonverbal. So it's not like the child could yell out to this individual and tell her, hey, like you driving kind of rough and reckless. And the thing is, she probably wouldn't even heard her to begin with, even if she could talk, because she had both earbuds in. Maybe they should put her on a bus that has no seats and have that thing move and drive recklessly. By the way, speaking of bus, how many of y'all in here seen the second Nightmare on Elm Street movie? There's a reason I'm asking that, and it does deal with a bus. How many of y'all in here saw the second Nightmare on Elm Street movie? Well, for those of you who did not, spoiler alert, y'all will probably forget it by the time y'all decide to watch it. But in the opening sequence of that movie, there was kids on the bus. They was on the bus, and they thought they was going to school. But the bus just kept driving and driving and driving till it ended up off the road. Then it ended up in a field, and then it ended up crashing into I guess you can say, into hell, because it was a nightmare, and the person driving that bus was Freddy Krueger. Maybe that's what the type of bus she needs to be on. Put her on a bus driven by him, and then they can leap off of a cliff together. But it's a sad story all the way around, and destroy her. That's what I'll just say about that, is just destroy her. Moving on to the next story. Now, this one is a video. Now, this one right here is from 2000. It's from November of last year, but it resurfaced. But I want y'all to hear this, because some of y'all may or may not have seen this video, but I want y'all to listen to what this chick, whose name is Ashlee, I think her name is Ashlee Morgan.
I live in a $3 million house. What am I, some black kid on a bike who's in the wrong neighborhood? That's ridiculous. No, you're definitely treating me like a colored person. Yep.
On November 24th, 2022, officers pulled over a vehicle driving recklessly while approaching a heavily populated Thanksgiving event. The driver allegedly fled the scene of the stop at a high rate of speed before fleeing again at another intersection.
Stop her. Shut the car off, man. Shut the car off.
It's freaking Thanksgiving. I just got a divorce. My fucking daughter's not with me.
Can you step out the car, please?
What in the... What is this? I'm trying to get home.
Step out the car, please, man.
Yes, sir. What? No, no. What are you doing? Are you kidding me?
Can somebody come get your car, please?
No, I don't have anybody. You guys, please don't. I just got a divorce. I'm trying to move. Please don't do this. What are you doing? I'm just trying to go to my gas station. How come she's allowed out? Ah! Like, why are you letting her through and I can't get through?
You realize what you did, though?
I'm trying to get to my neighborhood. Seriously, guys. I just got a divorce from the most evil man ever. I'm moving in like 2 days. I need to get off this island. Please. I'm sorry. I just
killed one of these people running. You know that?
No, I did not.
You could have killed one.
I wasn't anywhere near them. They told me to beat the people over here. Ah!
I'll take care of the paperwork. Just one second.
You're arresting me for stupid run.
Jennifer.
Please let me out. Please let me out.
Okay, so that's pretty much the whole video. But what I really wanted you to hear, besides all that nonsense, was what she said at the very beginning. I'll play it again in case y'all missed it.
I live in a $3 million house. What am I, some black kid on a bike who's in the wrong neighborhood? That's ridiculous. No, you're definitely treating me like a colored person. Yep.
She says, what am I, some black kid who's riding on a bike and you're treating me like a colored person? I forgot who it was that said it in the chat. When they tell you they don't see color or they don't acknowledge that white supremacy and racism is a thing, look to this video right here. She felt so entitled that she felt that because she was a white woman, that she shouldn't be arrested for what she was doing. And to arrest her was to treat her like a black kid on a bike or a colored person. That's all that's all that needs to be said. Y'all going crazy in the comments, and shout out to the 142 people that are here. I don't know how many likes it has because I can't see that, but if you haven't done so already, make sure y'all go ahead and hit that like button. Scoop said that privilege card got declined, right? And yeah, she was doing all them banshee screams like right there in the car. For what? That's the Karen call. And notice how hostile she was when she got out of the car. Like, she got out all sassy and with an attitude. Let that have been a black woman, wouldn't have stood a chance. She would have been on the ground, on the concrete, face down, probably knee on her back. Well, let me show y'all again. This woman was very hostile when she finally got out of the car.
It's freaking Thanksgiving. I just got a divorce. My fucking daughter's not with me.
Can you step out the car, please?
What is this? I'm trying to get home.
And she cussing.
Step out the car, please, man.
Look at how she opened up the door. If that cop wasn't prepared, he would have probably got knocked in the head. She opened that door with so much force.
Yes, sir. What?
All that hand movement. Let that have been a black woman. They would have been had guns drawn, because they would have saw the fake gun, the fake power tool. Just something I'm noticing. But yeah, I just wanted to show y'all that because I really want y'all to hear that first part. But when they tell you they don't see color, trust and believe me, they do. The fact that she even said that just lets you know. And so I hope that if she has any black friends, that they saw this video and they disassociate themselves from her if they haven't done so already. But let's move on to the next story. So this next one right here is involving Henrietta Lacks. And this is talking about now the family has reached a settlement. Okay, before I read this story, put a 1 in the chat if you feel that the family was right to settle, or put a 2 if you think that they shouldn't have settled. Put a 1 in the chat if you feel that they should not have settled, or 2. Put a 1 in the chat if you feel they should have, and put a 2 if you feel they should not have. I knew y'all was gonna put 2. I just had to ask though. I just like to conduct my own little poll. But it says Henrietta Lacks' family reaches a settlement over her stolen immortal cell line. They need to go after John Hopkins. It says U.S. biotechnology company has reached a settlement with the family of Henrietta Lacks, a Black woman whose cells were used for groundbreaking medical research without her consent. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump, who filed a lawsuit in 2021 on behalf of the Lacks estate, announced on Tuesday that the family had agreed a confidential deal with Massachusetts-based firm Thermo Fisher Scientific. The parties are pleased that they were able to find a way to resolve this matter outside of court, Crump said, noting that Tuesday would have been Lacks's 103rd birthday. Crump, who has represented the family of George Floyd and other Black victims of U.S. police violence, said the settlement provides some measure of justice for Henrietta Lacks 70 years later. Well, now we see why there's a settlement. The 31-year-old Lacks, a tobacco farmer from Virginia and mother of 5, died of cervical cancer in 1951 at Johns Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore. During attempts to cure her shortly before she died, Lacks' abnormally resilient cancer cells were removed from her tumor and were used for decades by researchers without her family's knowledge. The cells, dubbed HeLa for the first letters of her first and last names, were the first ever human cells to grow endlessly in the lab. All others harvested up to that point had died. Research using the cells led to Nobel Prize winning discoveries, and laboratories worldwide used them to develop vaccines, notably against polio, as well as in cloning, in vitro fertilization, and many medicines, fueling an industry now worth billions of dollars that the family will probably never see. Y'all heard that. Billions of dollars off of this woman's cells that they took without her permission, that the family will probably never see. The family knew nothing of Lacks's role until the 1970s and only came to understand its full scope thanks to the work of Roberta Skloot, author of the 2010 bestseller The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. Lacks' story was also the subject of an HBO movie starring Oprah Winfrey, or Okra the Mammy Supreme Winfrey, as I call her. They treated her like a specimen, like a lab rat, her granddaughter Kimberly Lacks said in 2021, describing the cell theft as racism. Thermo Fisher Scientific confirmed the settlement using the same language as the family lawyers Crump and Chris Seeger. In filing the lawsuit in 2021, Seeger said that Thermo Fisher was the first of many companies that could face legal action for having profited from the use of the HeLa cells. On its website, Johns Hopkins Hospital said that it has never sold or benefited from the discovery or distribution of HeLa cells and does not own the rights to them, which I find hard to believe. HeLa cells were offered freely and widely by Johns Hopkins for scientific research, it said. Johns Hopkins has worked in close coordination with several members of the Lacks family over the past decade to recognize and honor Henrietta Lacks, including scholarships, engagement with local schools, and annual symposia, but no money. They made all that money, stole this woman's cells. The family didn't know till like 20 years later, after they had already made a bunch of money by that time. And the family fought ever since, and they reached a settlement. Now, I don't know how much they got in the settlement, but I can tell you right now, it ain't $1 billion. It's not. No, I'll even take it a step further. It's probably not even $500,000. It's probably not even $250,000. But I said, of course, $250,000, $250 million. Shoot, it might not even be that. But they say, what value do black people bring? Apparently, life and research. All right, y'all. Y'all remember when I asked y'all at the beginning what story y'all was looking forward to the most? Well, the time has come to talk about the story that everybody was looking forward to the most on the stream. And it's not even the last story, by the way. I got like 4 more stories after this. But the story that everybody has been looking forward to the most when I asked at the beginning, here we go. I had to take a deep breath when I said that. And that is Lizzo. I wrote a comment on Harvey's recent video that he did a couple hours ago. And I said, Lizzo might have one of the biggest, and I'm saying that with no pun intended, wake-up calls of 2023. He said, DJ said they calling her R Belly now. I feel I shouldn't laugh, but because as crazy as this actually is, like if these accusations are true, those are some serious, heavy accusations. I was turned off by Lizzo when she decided that she was going to wear that cutout shirt. Y'all remember when she went to that Lakers game and she wore that cutout shirt that had her cheek showing? That's when I got completely turned away from her. Now, up until that point, I had heard of her, but I never listened to one song she ever did. They may have came across, but I didn't know it was her. I didn't care to look it up to see if it was her. Not a fan. But when she did that, I said this chick, she doesn't know how to read the room well. And this woman has gotten away with saying a lot of stuff and doing a lot of things, but now it has all come to a head because now Lizzo is on the Summer Jam screen, and that's a lot of Summer Jam screen to fill. With her, you might need 2 screens. Oh, yes, I'm going there because you know they always like to say, oh, body shaming this and body shaming that. Oh, you're fat phobic or you're fat shaming and all this. What did she do? And that was on the lower end of the scale of the allegations. That was on the low end. What else came out after this is even more extreme. But let's see what they're talking about. This is one of the more recent articles I found on Vox. It says the allegations against Lizzo briefly explained, because that's what I want to know. What are the allegations exactly that she's being hit with? Lizzo, a pop star, and shout out to, well, I'll say your name Chance because your name is Chance in the chat for the Cash App. I appreciate it. Lizzo, a pop star who has built her brand on both body positivity, if you want to call it that, and empowering upbeat hits, is facing a new lawsuit that levels serious allegations, including claims that she created a hostile work environment and engaged in sexual harassment. Lizzo has denied these allegations, which has raised questions both about her treatment of employees as well as the reality of the image she cultivated as a champion of plus-size women and quote-unquote women of color. Let's just be real here. When they say women of color, we know who they're talking about. They don't want to say it, but we know what they're talking about. The lawsuit filed by 3 of Lizzo's former dancers this week also alleges misconduct by her production company, Big Girl Big Touring Incorporated, and her dance team captain, Shirlene Quigley. Among the claims included in the suit is that Lizzo pressured dancers into unwanted sexual situations, made statements that were perceived as thinly veiled comments about a dancer's weight gain. That's rich coming from her. And put people through grueling rehearsals that led to one dancer soiling herself. That is absolutely disgusting. In an Instagram post, Lizzo pushed back against these allegations, claiming they are as unbelievable as they sound and too outrageous to not be addressed. She also has hired Hollywood lawyer Marty Singer, an attorney who has previously worked with Jonah Hill, Kim Kardashian, and Chris Brown to represent her in the case. And this is what she posted up on her, I think her Instagram. She says, these last few days have been gut-wrenchingly difficult and overwhelmingly disappointing. My work ethic, morals, and respectfulness have been questioned. My character has been criticized. Usually I choose not to respond to false allegations, but these are as unbelievable as they sound and too outrageous to not be addressed. These sensationalized stories are coming from former employees who have already publicly admitted that they were told their behavior on tour was inappropriate and unprofessional. As an artist, I have always been very passionate about what I do. I take my music and my performances seriously because at the end of the day, I only want to put out the best art that represents me and my fans. I'm sorry, you call that art? I've seen some of her art, and I don't even know how it made it up in the gallery. With passion comes hard work and high standards. Sometimes I have to make hard decisions, but it's never my intentions to make anyone feel uncomfortable or like they aren't valued as an important part of the team. I am not here to be looked at as a victim, but I also know that I am not the villain that people in the media have portrayed me to be these last few days. I am very open with my sexuality and expressing myself, but I cannot accept or allow people to use that openness to make me out to be something I am not. There is nothing I take more seriously than the respect we deserve as women in the world. I know what it feels like to be body shamed on a daily basis and would absolutely never criticize or terminate an employee because of their weight. I'm hurt, but I will not let the good work I've done in this world be overshadowed by this. It's so many jabs right in some of the stuff that she says that I can go at, but I'm choosing not to. I want to thank everyone who has reached out in support to lift me up. During this difficult time. Let's see. Known for hits like Good as Hell and Truth Hurts, Lizzo has been synonymous with catchy tracks that have an overwhelmingly positive message. Additionally, as a plus-size Black artist, she's repeatedly called out the criticism and abuse plus-size women of color face in society and sought to promote better beauty standards. Previously, she launched a size-inclusive shapewear called Yitty and also had a reality show called Watch Out for the Big Girls, which aimed to spotlight and cast plus-size dancers. Two of the plaintiffs, Ariana Davis and Crystal Williams, appeared on the show. The potential harassment detailed in the lawsuit, though, calls this message and her image into question while highlighting the relative lack of oversight for artists in the music industry. The stunning nature of how Lizzo and her management team treated their performers seemed to go against everything Lizzo stands for publicly. While privately, she weight shames her dancers and demeans them in ways that are not only illegal, but absolutely demoralizing. The plaintiff's attorney, Ron Zambrano, said in a statement. So now we're about to get into the allegations. I guess that's just their introduction. Now we're about to get into why or what these allegations are. The lawsuit brought by plaintiffs Crystal Williams, Ariana Davis, and Noel Rodriguez alleges 9 areas of misconduct in total related to their experience on Lizzo's special tour. Some of these claims are made against all 3 defendants, including Lizzo, Quigley, and Big Girl Touring Incorporated, while others are only alleged of some of the defendants. Additionally, some of the claims are made by all 3 plaintiffs, while others are only made by individual plaintiffs. The civil lawsuit was filed in Los Angeles Superior Court and could result in monetary damages for the plaintiffs if it were to move forward and the defendants were found liable. Prior to filing the suit, Davis and Williams had been fired from the dance troupe, while Rodriguez said she resigned over how poorly her colleagues were treated. The allegations made against all 3 defendants include a hostile work environment that featured sexual harassment, a failure to prevent or remedy sexual harassment in the workplace, and a failure to prevent or remedy religious harassment in the workplace. The plaintiffs claim they were made to feel their employment was precarious and that they had to comply with requests that made them uncomfortable in order to continue working. Some of those requests were of a sexual nature, including, among other things, pressure from Lizzo to attend a performance with new dancers in Amsterdam to eat bananas placed in nude dancers' genitals, and pressure on one of the plaintiffs to touch a dancer's breast. Other allegations were tied to religious harassment. The suit alleges Quigley spoke extensively about her religious views as a Christian and berated those who didn't share those beliefs. It claims that one dancer's virginity was frequently discussed without her consent, and that dancers were pressured to participate in group Christian prayer regardless of their religious beliefs. All three defendants did little to remedy such actions despite knowing about them, the lawsuit claims. I think all of the causes of action have some merit and some chance of succeeding. In my opinion, the strongest cause of action is the sexual harassment charge. I think it is likely that a reasonable person would think that behavior created a hostile work environment. Chicago Kent employment law Professor Nicole Porter told Vox. Porter noted that one possible defense could center on how much disclosure the plaintiffs had about the experiences they should expect to encounter in this role. Another part of the suit highlights concerns Lizzo had allegedly expressed about Davis's struggle on tour, including comments Davis perceived as thinly veiled, concerned about weight gain. Such statements followed alleged remarks Lizzo previously made about Davis's weight, which the suit claims led to her feel self-conscious and required to speak on the issue. The suit details, too, a grueling surprise audition dancers already hired on the tour had to undergo in order to keep their positions, during which Davis soiled herself out of fear that she would lose her spot as a dancer if she went to the restroom. Davis claims she was then given transparent shorts to change into. Lizzo has denied these allegations and has yet to signal what steps she plans to take next. This is a lie. This is a lot. I had to take a sip of water right quick because I still got this to read. The lawsuit underscores the poor working conditions in the music industry and the lack of accountability that exists for such abuses. Long hours, difficult physical labor, and short-term contracts are common, while institutional oversight of individual artists isn't always present. Other artists, including Cher and Britney Spears, have been sued by their employees in the past for alleged discrimination and battery, respectively. For example, Cher's case was dismissed and Spears settled her case. The sort of workplace described by the plaintiffs lends itself to harassment and exploitation, says Martha Davis, a law professor at Northeastern University. In this case, for example, there were not clear lines between employees on time and their jobs while on the tour. The lawsuit has felt more surprising to some fans given the public positions Lizzo has taken on promoting women's empowerment and celebrating plus-size bodies. Aspects of the lawsuit, such as the alleged statements concerning weight, appear to directly contradict those stances. Other developments have brought attention to the case as well, including Beyonce's decision not to mention Lizzo's name while singing a song that references her in a recent concert. And for some fans, past lyrics in Lizzo's song Rumors have taken on a different tenor in the wake of the lawsuit. In that song, she refers to people trying to sue her, NDAs, and sings about not caring about legal matters. The suit is also renewing discussions among pop culture observers online about the need for stars to be held responsible for bad behavior and the disparities that continue to exist on that front. Like anyone fielding such allegations, Lizzo should face the legal process and potential consequences for any harm she's caused. But she's also likely to get more blowback for such a lawsuit than a white male star like Brad Pitt or Johnny Depp, both of whom have fielded allegations of abuse and denied them, would due to the sexism, racism, and fat phobia she has to deal with. Oh my God. And that is the whole article right there. Like I said, that was a lot. Lizzo is she's on the block. She's on the chopping block now. Indigenous Queen said Lizzo admitted on a radio show how she fantasized eating a banana from female genitals. Well, look at how that played out for her. If they can pull that up, where she said that, it's really not looking too good. But one of the first times I ever saw Lizzo was actually on the 2019 BET Awards. And she was up there with a white lingerie on, playing that flute. I immediately turned. That was how I first learned about her. Yeah, but it ain't looking too good for her right now. This is her moment. But you know what? This is also her karma as well. Because we have told people about this woman over the years. People didn't want to listen, and now look at her. This should be very interesting going forward. But anyway, let me move on to the next story. I know that's the story a lot of people was wanting to hear, but we got 4 more stories to cover. So we have this one right here. This man whose name is Marion Hudak, I believe that's his name, and it says that he was slur spewing. They call him a slur spewing Trump supporter, accused of racist campaign, is himself an immigrant. How about that? How about that? A North Carolina man with a home full of Nazi and Ku Klux Klan memorabilia was arrested last month and accused of a year-long campaign of alleged xenophobic and racist attacks on black motorists and his Latino neighbors. But there's a twist, and shout out to DSB for the $10 super chat. He says, facts, a hard head makes a soft behind. Exactly, and I appreciate the super chat. He said there's a twist, according to the Daily Beast. It turns out that Marion Hudak, who allegedly screamed at the next door family to go back to Mexico, is an immigrant himself. Hudak immigrated to the United States in 2001, the warrant application states, reports Justin Rawlick. The paperwork doesn't mention what his country of origin is, although Hudak is an Eastern European name. According to the application, Hudak has at least 17 instances of law enforcement contact, which include racist threats and unlawful use of weapons. Among other things, prosecutors say Hudak has pulled guns unprovoked on members of minority groups, verbally abused and physically assaulted his Mexican neighbors, and attempted to run black motorists off the road in his Trump and Confederate flag bedecked pickup truck. In July 2022, Hudak was banned from a Sam's Club after parking the truck outside the store and spewing racial slurs through a loudspeaker. Hudak, who has maintained it is his First Amendment right to scream the N-word at black passerbys, has been under monitoring by the state for several months. Prosecutors have detailed how he allegedly threatened his neighbors and bystanders, shouting things like, "You effing Mexican alcoholics, go back to your country, effing Mexican. When I see you again, I'm going to run you off the road and I'm going to kill you." Reports also say police have encountered him intoxicated and on some occasions wearing a TAC vest, armed with several loaded weapons, knives, and brass knuckles, and an ASP baton. His home was found to be full of KKK and Nazi imagery, as well as a huge array of weapons and tactical gear. At one point, he was invested by the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force after he told acquaintances he was going to Syria to join his new friends, a potential reference to ISIS, but he blamed this on drunken bravado. Hudak is now in federal custody pending trial. He has tried to get released into the custody of his daughter, but the judge overseeing his case has not authorized this. A whole immigrant talking to first off, Black Americans whose lineage goes way back before he even got here. I mean, 2001, that's easy. But then having the nerve to talk to other people who migrated over here. But notice, he's been doing this for years. This is his mugshot. He's still breathing. This is another instance of Operation Protect the White Boy. I know I haven't said that in a while, but that is a perfect example right here. Scoop 2003 says he Lex Luthor. Hey, he got the scoop ball head like him, and he has the same villainous rage like him too. Melanated mantra said he had no threat of deportation back to his native country. Exactly. They let him stay here. Now, what would have happened if he would have took all his threats and was successful with what he probably wanted to do? Then what? DJ said that's a Czech or Slovakian name. I wouldn't doubt it that he's probably from a European nation. Even they said in the article that he's probably like from an East European nation. And he came over in 2021. So that was what, 22 years ago. Excuse me. He's only been here 22 years and has been a menace the whole time he's been here. My thing is this. Was he living? When he got here, where was he living? And also, did he move into this neighborhood where it was a bunch of people that he didn't like? Now, if you move into a place where there's a lot of people you don't like, you pretty much getting what you asked for. Or maybe you moved over there just so you can have a reason to terrorize these people. I don't know. It's a weird paradigm. But like I said, the typical Dub S is weird. They are freaking weirdos. Carla said he looks like the Silence of the Lambs. You trying to say he looks like Hannibal Lecter? I hope he isn't like Hannibal Lecter, though. But if he is, you might want to go, I don't know, like search that house. You know, much like with that video I did the other day with the guy who had the skulls and bones like decorating his home. Yeah, I'm just saying. But let's move on to the next story. Now, this story right here is a recent story to something that just happened. And I actually have to thank one of my subscribers. I forgot which one it was, but it was someone in my Discord who posted the update to this about that man, O'Shea Sibley. I believe that's his name. He was that black man in the academy who was stabbed at that gas station. Well, this is an update that just came through, I think, today. But I'm gonna let the video play out for itself.
To the urgent manhunt for the killer of a professional dancer in Brooklyn. Police are searching for a suspect they believe is captured on video stabbing O'Shea Sibley, who had been dancing to Beyonce's music and what authorities say they suspected LGBTQ hate crime. Eva Pilgrim is here with more. Good morning, Eva.
Good morning, guys. O'Shea Sibley's friend saying his murder was an attack on his very existence. He was simply, as you mentioned, dancing to Beyonce, and Queen Bee speaking out about his death, her music, and now public statements elevating stars and regular people in the LGBTQ plus community now in mourning.
This morning, the LGBTQ plus community, family, and friends honoring O'Shea Sibley, a professional dancer brutally murdered for dancing at a Brooklyn gas station.
O'Shea, he was so loving, so kind, such a vibrant spirit.
Sibley's friends say he was voguing, a unique dance birthed in 80s Harlem ballroom culture.
Voguing is a repetition of fashion poses, basically. That's how it started.
According to his friend, Sibley was voguing to Beyonce's Grammy-winning album, Renaissance.
I'm turning it down some because of copyright, y'all.
The superstar, learning of his death, posting a tribute on her website. Rest in power, O'Shea Sibley. Sibley was a dancer and choreographer who performed at Lincoln Center. He danced as part of an all-queer dance group, as well as at Alvin Ailey and the Philadelphia Dance Company.
He was just spectacular to see move on stage, and he always made us, everyone in the room, feel confident like we could do it.
Sibley's murder happening the same night of Beyonce's much anticipated New York stop on her Renaissance tour.
Welcome to the Renaissance.
Her tour sparking celebrations not just in New York, but around the world. The Platinum album, widely applauded for highlighting the cultural contributions of the LGBTQ community and connecting Beyonce to her LGBTQ plus fans in a new way. Drag performer Kevin Aviance, one of the artists Queen Bee showcased when she sampled him on Pure Honey.
That's my technique. That's my.
We got passed out. And then when I listened to it again, it didn't dawn on me that she was just using my performance. That right there was the game changer for me.
Beyonce's music resonating with ambiance and countless others, including O'Shea Sibley.
Sibley is the 5th LGBTQ person killed in recent weeks. GLAAD responding to his death, saying Sibley's shocking murder follows a disturbing rise in violence and harassment against LGBTQ people across the U.S. This cannot continue. No one should have to fear for their safety just for being themselves. And of course, this is still an ongoing investigation.
Yeah. And
all right, so that's the video right there. Now, this video, this news piece that y'all just heard, was posted before what I'm about to read to you, because now it has been confirmed that the person who killed this man is now in custody. And this was a whole teenager, by the way. This wasn't a grown adult. This was a teenager. I think that he was, or he is, like 16 or 17. And I believe that the teen is Muslim. I believe. Yeah, I think he's Muslim. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and read what the update says. A teenager is in custody in connection with the fatal stabbing of New York City dancer O'Shea Sibley, police sources told ABC News. Police previously said that a 17-year-old male was wanted in connection with the fatal stabbing of Sibley, a 28-year-old black gay man who was stabbed in his torso on July 29th at around 11 p.m. at a gas station in Brooklyn. In a video posted to Facebook, Sibley's friend Otis Pena said he and Sibley were among a group of friends that were voguing and dancing at the gas station while pumping gas when they were confronted by another group. According to Pena, the group hurled homophobic slurs at Sibley's group. The confrontation then turned violent and Sibley was stabbed. Sibley was pronounced dead at a local hospital. Police said they are trying to move quickly to establish what happened and whether this was a biased crime. I think it's safe to say that it most likely was. Now, one thing people I was seeing online, because I wanted to know what the demographics of this area was. And to my knowledge, the person who did it, it's more of them over there than it is black people. I kept seeing that a lot. It says O'Shea Sibley's life and beautiful spirit were cut short by homophobia. New York City Mayor Eric Adams said in an August 1st tweet, bigotry can never take root in our city. Being a New Yorker means knowing and loving people of all backgrounds. Will bring justice for O'Shea's family and loved ones. His dancing joy will live on. Now, my thing is this. And Eric Adams did exactly what I just probably knew he would do. And I would have been shocked if he didn't do it. They are going to lean heavy on this man's sexuality rather than his race. Let me say that again. I have the strongest feeling they are going to lean heavy on his sexuality rather than him being black. I just have the strongest feeling that's what they're going to do. I have a feeling that's what they're doing right now. Because what if this was because think about it for a second. Daniel Penny and Jordan Neely on a train back in May. And shout out to Joseph Washington for the super chat. He said, pardon my tardiness, Korean. Salute to the chat room. Salute to you. Daniel Penny and Jordan Neely on a train back in May. Daniel Penny strangles Daniel Penny strangles or puts Jordan Neely in a chokehold, killing him. Daniel Penny gets all this outpouring support. He gets called a hero. He gets millions of dollars in donations, all thanks to the Satan. Now, to our knowledge, Jordan Neely was a heterosexual black man. But he's the villain. You have this man right here, also in New York, who was stabbed to death by this 17-year-old Muslim kid. And the first thing they're leaning on was that it was a hate crime because of his sexuality. He's going to get a bunch of support just on that alone. And peep how in the news piece, they said this is the 5th one that has happened that year in New York against someone who's in the academy. I would like to know what the demographics race-wise of the other 4 were. Donna said, why are they not showing the killer? Oh, we already know why. And that's another thing. Had the person who did this been black, no matter the age, they would have put it up there because it goes with the narrative that black people, especially heterosexual black men, are the most homophobic. They can't use that angle with this story. Now, what I will give the members in the academy when it comes to this story is how quickly they got on this story. They didn't let it drag like it was when it came to Ed Buck. Like, it took them a while to latch onto that. But they actually were on it with this one. So I will give them that. I won't even criticize them for being late to the story. They were on it immediately. I think it even trended for like a day. So it did get out there. But like I said, had the killer been a black man or a black teen in this case, their picture would have been put out there. Their name would have been put out there, and then they would have went with the narrative of black men, particularly heterosexual black men, are the most homophobic. But because that's not the case, they can't go with that angle. And truth be told, it's more people who look like that teen who are against them than not. Because I believe they said it was religious things, or they said that, he's like, one of the things that I heard was they said that it was because, they felt it was offensive to their religion. That's something I kept hearing floating around, but I guess we'll have to wait until there's a statement to come out as the case goes forward. Indigenous Queen said her whole album is for the LGBT. Yeah, it is. Because it's like a bunch of like house music, like that that music that you would hear in certain settings. I'll put it like that. Those of y'all who heard some of the songs, y'all can tell that's what kind of vibe it is. But either way, though, despite all of what I just said, RIP to this man, condolences to his family and to his friends and to his associates, because at the end of the day, like, he was still murdered. This was still, at the end of the day, despite his lifestyle, was a black man that was murdered. And I think they should heavily take that into consideration instead of just leaning in. See, I think another reason they're leaning in on the fact that they're saying it was a hate crime because of his lifestyle is because they feel that's the one they can get the prosecution on faster than it being because of him being a black man. Because remember, the academy has protection rights on the books. Black people do not. So if he does get protection, even in death, and there is consequences for the crime, it's going to be because of his lifestyle and not because of his race. I will stamp that. I will stand 10 toes down on that. And the crazy part about it is, many people that's in the academy would probably agree with me. But anyway, let's move on to the next story. This story right here, you know what? I'm not even going to read the whole article. I'm just going to ask the question. And the question is, well, I'll take this headline and frame it in the form of a question. Should immigrants get a portion of reparations? Because this article's headline is saying activists are split over whether reparations should go to black immigrants. The fact they even asked that as a question. And I was going to do this as a pre-recorded video, but I said, nah, I'll save it. I will save it for today. No, the answer to that question is a loud, resounding 360-degree no. And I would like to know what quote unquote activists even asked that question or even frame that. No, it should not go to Black immigrants. Reparations is for foundational Black Americans. I don't know how much more simpler we could make that statement. We are not speaking a foreign language. We are not using sign language. We are saying it in a language that most people understand, especially if they live here. Reparations is for foundational Black Americans. If you do not fall into that category, you do not get no money, at least not from this government. You will go to your homeland and you will figure out who you have to talk to and get your money from them. Don't sit here and try to leech off of what we have going on. That's not the game we playing over here. I think without me having to read the article, because it's a lengthy article, that's why I really wanted to just express that right there, because I don't want to read this whole thing. It's a very long article. Washington Post loves posting these long, lengthy articles for no reason. But I think I've expressed how I feel just on this headline alone. And I think everybody in this chat agrees with me. Lineage based only. Because if it was any other way, that's how you would have it. We couldn't get in on the ground floor of whatever it is you're trying to get because we aren't of your lineage. So why is it when we say it, oh, you're being divisive? Oh, well, hey, we got to learn to, whenever they try to hit us with that, it's basically that guilt thing. They try to hit us with the guilt. When they say, oh, we're being divisive, well, we're only, this establishment is only united by name. It's been divisive. What else you got? I think we've heard every jab that they've thrown at us. At this point, it's like hearing Charlie Brown's teacher. But with that being said, let's move on to the last story of the day, y'all. We made it to the last story of the day. Let me go ahead and widen this video up and turn it up.
Well, Rick, the judge did not mince words. First, he sentenced her to 9 years in prison and 3 years supervised release when she gets out. But he called the details of this case, quote, shocking, vile, cruel, degrading, and disturbing. Now, Kraft was convicted of mailing threatening communications to a neighboring family in the Lake Forest subdivision where she lives. Those threats included spray painting racial slurs on the family's driveway, threatening to run over their 9-year-old daughter, and mailing 2 bullets to the family with a letter saying, quote, get out. A jury convicted Kraft of sending those messages because of her neighbor's perceived skin color. Now, the Pineda family, who drew huge support from their neighborhood and the community when this first happened, was in court today to read impact statements. Michelle Pineda saying, quote, I am still in fear today, looking over my shoulder everywhere I go. I heard the message loud and clear. Her intention was to instill fear. Up until the day of her arrest, she harassed us. A daughter, identified only as KP, also spoke in court saying, quote, Ms. Kraft has created so much turmoil in our lives, and I don't believe she will ever acknowledge or take accountability for what she has caused. Any apology she could ever offer would be insincere at this point. Now, Kraft's legal troubles are far from over. Her attorneys are due back in Jefferson County Court tomorrow, where she's facing state charges for this same case. In the meantime, Kraft has been turned over to the U.S. Marshals. Reporting live at the federal courthouse tonight, Drew Gardner, WLKY News.
All right, so y'all just heard the story right there. And they really didn't go into the part where I thought they were going to go with this. I mean, they gave the details saying, you know, she got 9 years in jail for what she did. And they said she still faces more legal problems or legal issues when she gets released. But what they didn't tell you is, yes, this was a racial thing, but they didn't say why this or went into specifics. The family that this woman was targeting was an interracial family. 2 different backgrounds. Now, I was looking at the last name Pineda. I said that can't be a black person, you know, that last name. But either way, they were it was an interracial family. And apparently she didn't like that. And she decided that, you know what, I'm going to go over there and terrorize them. I'm going to spray paint stuff on their yard. I'm going to mail bullets to their home and all types of other stuff. She just couldn't mind her business. Just the sight of that was pissing her off. Well, now she's going to have 9 long years to think about what she's done. Like I tell you, the typical Dub S, they will give up their freedom to express their hatred. They don't care. Couldn't be me. I don't know about y'all, but I'm glad I was born in the skin and the body I'm in. Because it is no way I would have done all of that. Now, you want to know what's so interesting? Is that when it comes to interracial relationships or couples, you hear more stories like this you may or may not hear about these stories quite often, but they happen and they occur. It is very uncommon. I think I can only remember one story, but it is very uncommon that you will find a lot of or any black people that would do something like this if they came across an interracial couple. I can only think of one instance where that happened. They didn't do the mailing of the bullets or the spray paint or anything like that. But I remember it vividly where it was and some of y'all may remember it too. It was a black man and a white woman. I think they were like walking down the street or something like that. And this random black guy just started yelling out like crazy things to them because they were an interracial couple. That was probably the only time I ever heard something like that coming from a black person. But when it comes to them, oh, this goes back decades. We're talking about going back to Jim Crow here. Probably before that. So when people be saying, oh, it'd be mainly black people that be upset because of interracial dating and all types of stuff like that, you won't find many black people do what she did. But we understand. Many of you are not going to call this out. Just like several people didn't call out what's her face did. Courtney Clenny, when she unalived, when she deleted Christian Obumseli in that apartment, and a gang of other, instances. Spidey said the only time you saw that was in the Lakeview Terrace. Oh, I forgot about you. Right about that movie because you had Kerry Washington was in there. She was married to the white dude, and Samuel Jackson was the neighbor. And Sam Jackson was terrorizing the hell out of him. But Pete, though, that wasn't a movie. It wasn't real life. But now looking at it, I see what angle they were pushing with that. But it was still a good movie overall, though. Well, like I said, she got 9 years. Yes, Mike, see the tether. She has 9 years to think about what she's done. That's going to be a long 9 years for her. I hope they put her in Gen Pop. DJ said black people may talk their ish, but that's about it. It normally ends there, right? And the crazy thing about it is You will have some people who's in those type of relationships who will get mad at black, like really furious with black people for just saying something or just saying whatever. But this woman actually went over to their home and vandalized it and mailed bullets to the home. Like, that's a threat. Like, you're basically saying that these bullets are for you. And she didn't care. But anyway, y'all, that was the last story of the day. We've been on for almost 2 hours. Like I told you, this is going to be a very lengthy type stream because I had a lot of stories to cover. Because, you know, this live stream is going to stay up on the channel because y'all know I do. You know, this week I put the live on the channel, then I put the next one up on the channel. I mean, like up on the Patreon the following week, then back and forth, and that's how we do it. So with that being said, shout out to everybody who came through. Shout out to those who subscribed. I see I had got some new subscribers that came in. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to everybody who hit the super chat, as well as those who hit the Cash App too. We will be back on here tomorrow, for the 11 a.m. upload. This Saturday is going to be a triple P, by the way. I just wanted to let y'all know that because I know y'all like those. So it will be a triple P video tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern time. With that being said, y'all enjoy the rest of your day. Have a safe weekend. I'll talk to you in the next one. Be safe and be one.